Let's go. Don't wait. This night's almost over. On it.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. You might have noticed the awesome new musical intro. We'll tell you more about that a little bit later on in the show. There's a great story behind that. You don't want to miss it. But first, let's give a word to our sponsors. So at the People's Purple Show, we are sponsored by Chapter One Films, which is this guy's video production company, helping businesses tell their story using video. So if you own a business and you want to tell your story, you should talk to Greg. We're always sponsored by Snyder's, and we appreciate their support. Snyder's Pretzels, thank you for everything that you do. And of course, friend of the show, Trey Waynes. All right, let's get to it, Greg. You got a Kirk Cousins science fact for us?
Here's today's Kirk Cousins science fact of the day.
You like that? You like that?
Did you know great apes, including chimpanzees and orangutans, have absolutely no appreciation for music whatsoever?
That's awesome. There's probably a joke there about Green Bay Packers fans, but
You like that?
it's not going to go there.
About
like
Kirk Cousins somewhere.
Thank you.
Kirk. Thank you,
like
Kirk.
that?
Love it.
Appreciate it.
All right, big game this week. We're going to get to that. Huge game. But let's start with headlines, man. So first headline, Everson Griffin is back.
He's back. Viking Nation, he's back. We have our defensive captain back. He seems healthy. He seems mentally there, roughly. We love Everson Griffin. Like, I think it was actually Kirk Cousins who was quoted saying, you know, Everson Griffin, the player, is great, but having Everson Griffin, the person in the locker room, is way more important. And I think that that's kind of true. As corny as that sounds, I think that was a big part. We've talked about on our show how we have great skill positions, but people like Harrison Smith, Xavier Rhodes, Trey Waynes, they're kind of quiet guys. Our linebackers, none of them really have the age, the veteran knowledge that any of our captains from last year had. I mean, we lost B-Rab, we lost Terrence Newman, and then we were without Everson Griffin for such a long time. I really feel like it made a difference, man. I really feel like whether he plays or not, him being there will inspire us. I think it's going to be an awesome game, and I think it really changes a lot for us.
Yeah.
Whether he plays
I think
or not.
that Buffalo game, I think Everson Griffin's absence and all the drama had a lot to do with that Buffalo game. We'll probably never know the real story there, but yeah, agreed.
Absolutely. All right, so Dan Carlson. Can't believe I'm uttering this name again, but the Raiders thought it was a great idea to sign Dan Carlson. I mean, they cut their starting kicker. They signed Dan Carlson. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I guess on one hand, if you're the Raiders, like, how much worse can it get? You're already terrible, and they probably just brought him in because they want to make sure they lose all their games so they get the number one overall draft pick. But in all seriousness, I think it maybe is smart. I think Daniel Carlson, I think, is going to have a good NFL career. I think that we got screwed. And I think that there's no doubt he has the leg strength. And being in a situation where he probably isn't going to have a lot of pressure on any of his kicks this year because the Raiders aren't going anywhere. It's probably a good spot for him. And I mean, I'm pulling for him. Like, he seemed like a good guy, a good kid. Like, you want the best for him. But gosh, man, I would not be comfortable if I was a Raiders fan and Daniel Carlson's lining up to kick a tying or a game-winning field goal. I'll tell you that much. But whatever, you know what's going to happen, dude, is he's going to have a great career, and the whole rest of his career, we're just going to like shake our heads every time we see him. So, what are you going to do? All right, man, we got some injury concerns. A lot of guys a little bit banged up going into this week. Dalvin Cook, Anthony Barr, Xavier Rhodes, Andrew Sandejo, Tom Compton, all banged up. As of the recording of this show, we're not sure the status of any of those guys. Sounds like Dalvin Cook's probably going to be out for a few more weeks. Xavier Rhodes, Anthony Barr, Zimmer's hoping they make it. They're able to play. Haven't heard much about Sandejo, and it sounds like Tom Compton's not likely to play. But what are your thoughts on just the injury situation in general?
Yeah, Sandejo's kind of been a ghost, you know, like very little reporting on him, very little even people asking questions. I don't hear a whole lot, but he's somebody I really want to be back for this game. Something that sticks in my head is that Michael Thomas play from the playoffs where he just took his head off going across the field. No penalty was called at all. Knocked him out, was taken out of the game, watched the rest of the game from the locker room. I mean, I want him to get some sweet revenge in this game so bad. So he is the one I most want back, and I think that he's a little underrated. You know, like I think we have Iloka and J-Ron Curse, who are decent players, but I think there's still a gap there between them and him. So, yeah, as far as Rhodes and Barr, I'm optimistic about both of them. Like, I think that the freshness of the injuries is kind of like bringing it to the forefront of our minds, but it's a big game. It's Sunday night. they're going to be pushing so hard to play. I mean, just coming like from an athlete's perspective, like they're going to want to play so bad. I think that'll push them through. Not too worried about Dalvin Cook. I think we need to give him as much rest as we can. Latavius is running great. And Tom Compton, like, poor Kirk Cousins, because now he won't have any science facts to gibber about in the offensive huddle. But I mean, O-line, I mean, what are you going to do? Like, can we really be upset about anybody on our O-line getting injured at this point? Like,
Exactly.
all right, so this is some exciting news. Jarius Wright comes up clutch for the Panthers. They're calling him one of the biggest surprises of their season. Not just the third down guy anymore, a real pivotal point in their offense. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it makes me miss Jarius Wright is what it does.
I love that guy.
I think we all love Jarius Wright. I mean, never put up big stats, but you can't quantify like the importance of those plays, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the clutch third down conversions. He was just always seemed to make a big play at a pivotal moment. And I think going into the offseason, you know, I think we thought that Kendall Wright, you know, we signed Kendall Wright, and I think the thought was he's going to step up and fill that role. He didn't even make it through training camp. And, you know, you and I have talked about this, Greg. Treadwell is a good player. Like, I still am a believer in Treadwell, but he's not the Mr. Third Down, Mr. Consistency guy. Yeah. He's a number one or number two receiver who's just not playing up to that level yet. So I miss Jarius Wright, and fortunately, Stephon Diggs and Thielen are so good that like it feels like you can just go to them when you need a clutch conversion. But I think having someone in that Jarius Wright role is invaluable. I miss him, and I'm glad to see he's doing well in Carolina. I'm a fan of that guy. So
Sure.
all right, man, that was headlines. Let's get to Uncle Louie.
Uncle Louie has another letter.
Man, he wrote me an essay this week.
Oh, man. Lewis.
Dearest nephew, January 14th, 2018. That's the date of the so-called Minneapolis Miracle. But let me tell you what really happened that day. Minnesota Vikings fans began to believe, really, maybe this time, it was finally going to be your year. Case Keenum, Adam Thielen, an unbelievable defense, the Super Bowl being played in Minnesota. This was your year, and after the miracle happened, everyone began to believe. Of course, it wasn't a miracle at all. It was just the latest demonic trick the football gods used to break Vikings fans' hearts wide open again. They set you up only to let you fail miserably the very next week. Once again, the football gods sucker punched the Minnesota Vikings. Listen, nephew, nothing good ever happens to the Vikings. And if something good does happen, it's only so something worse can happen later. So I don't know if the Vikings will win this week. But I do know that if they do, it's only going to be that much more painful when the season eventually comes crashing down. I don't know why you still follow this team. Love, Uncle Louie.
That was the worst one yet.
It's a real downer there.
It just gives me no hope. At no point will I feel like I can say screw you to Uncle Louie until we win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. He's just sitting there cackling at us until then.
Oh, man.
All right, man.
Core.
All right, Kirk Cousins, what's he been up to?
All right, are you guys ready for the Chronicles of Kirk? All right, so Danny mentioned it briefly. We have some new intro music, and you're probably thinking, why are they playing Blink-182?
You like that?
We were thinking the same thing, okay? So it turns out that Kirk Cousins and Tom Compton also like to dabble in the musical talents that they have, and they actually traveled toward Nashville. It was Nashville, and went to a recording studio, and Kirk Cousins and his brother sang harmony while Tom Compton played the drums. And they played the song First Date by Blink-182, and that's what you heard coming in. That was Kirk Cousins. And he has a few others. We may show some clips in future shows just to kind of keep you guys on edge. But he's a recording artist.
I mean, in case you ever wondered what Kirk Cousins does in the offseason, he goes and he makes records in Nashville, apparently. But you know something we have to talk about there is Tom Compton. Like, I play the drums sort of, kind of, and it's freaking hard to play that song on the drums. Like, that's way harder than most drummers can handle, and he pulled it off. So Tom Compton's got some musical ability.
It's like these people have other talents and skills. They're not just football players.
I'm pretty sure that Kirk, what I would really pay to hear is the not auto-tune version of that. Because he sounded great there, but call me skeptical.
He goes to a studio in Nashville to sound that good. Well, that was the Chronicles of Kirk. We'll keep up with him, and we'll keep you updated on the life of Kirk Cousins.
You like that?
Love it, man. Most interesting quarterback in the NFL.
He's the greatest guy in the NFL.
Hands down. All right, dude. Let's talk about Sunday night. New Orleans Saints. Whew. Big game. Can't wait. What are you thinking?
Man, I've been waiting for this specific game the whole year. It's such a big deal, road games, home games in the NFL, and we had so many tough games that you knew were going to be fun. We played the Eagles, we played the Rams, we're going to be playing the Packers, play the Patriots, all great games, but all of those are on the road. Well, we play the Packers at home, but, 4 to the 5 are on the road. You have one home game against an elite team, and that's the Saints. And I mean, then there's no team I loathe more deeply than the Saints. I mean, I just really, I do not like the Saints at all. I think that the whole Drew Brees thing just boiled the pot even more. So, I'm so past analytics, and I'm just so angry and just want us to absolutely destroy them. I loved seeing them struggle last week against the Ravens. Ravens have a solid defense. It was a low-scoring game. It gave me hope that they can be stopped. Because, this year all you've seen is elite offenses shred good defense. Look at Jacksonville. They built their whole entire team off their defense, and they look horrendous right now because offenses are just too good. So seeing Drew Brees slow down and really maybe not should have lost the game, but it should have gone into overtime except for an anomaly happened.
Yeah.
There was a solar eclipse, and Justin Tucker missed his first
Of
ever.
course he would miss his first ever extra point against the Saints. That's the type of luck that the Saints always have.
Yeah, but it was just great seeing him struggle. I think that we'll have a solid chance at home, man.
Man, I can't wait for this game. I agree with everything you said. I think playoff positioning, this is a big game. This is just big on so many levels, right? It's a big test because, the last couple teams we've beaten, not necessarily so hot. Even the Eagles kind of struggling. The Saints are playing well right now, so this is a good test to see where we're at. It also seems like if you look at the NFC playoff picture, right now the Rams are kind of running away with the 1 seed, although there's plenty of time for them to come back to earth. But the real drama right now is for that second spot. You've got the Saints in that conversation, the Panthers, you've got us, and so big game against the Saints. I could really see whoever wins this game, I could see it coming down and being like the tiebreaker, in whether or not we get a first-round bye in the playoffs. So I think it's really big on that level. Man, I can't wait to... it's funny to say get revenge on the Saints because we beat them last year.
We beat them twice last year.
Yeah, but man, Michael Thomas I get so angry whenever I think about that shot he had on Sandejo. I'm not even going to be mad if we get a 15-yard unnecessary roughness penalty because somebody knocks that guy out. Yeah,
I'm expecting one.
Yeah, seriously. So yeah, can't wait for that. So let's talk about the game itself, Greg. So well, let's talk about the game overall first before we get into specific predictions. So on the field, what are your thoughts? What are you looking for?
I really want to see the offense continue to thrive. I think we've established the run game the past 2 weeks, and you're right. The first week was against Arizona. Out of the last 2 weeks. First week, Arizona, terrible run defense. A little better with the Jets. They were a solid run defense, and we gained about, I think we may have eclipsed over 100 yards as a total team. I think Latavius had 65, but plus the other two, we were over 100, 2 touchdowns. If we can continue that, it's going to be awesome because that'll give our defense time to rest. We'll have long offensive possessions because we know Kirk Cousins can sling the ball up and down the field.
Yep.
He did it in LA against the Rams, which is a much better defense than the Saints have. He's going to be able to do that all day.
Yep.
If we can keep the running game going, keep drives long, we'll give our defense time to rest, and I think we can really pummel them.
So my question is, if Adam Thielen goes over 100 yards for the 8th consecutive time, they're going to stop the game and give us a certificate and make Drew Brees sit there and watch for 5 minutes while Thielen kisses his wife and his kids and everything.
They should have Drew Brees give him the certificate just as a form of punishment.
Unbelievable, man. Oh, gosh, I just can't wait. And it's Sunday night. It's perfect. So, all right, Greg, if we lose this game, which I hate to even say, but if we lose this game, why are we going to lose this game?
I'm going to go what I said. I'm going to say if we can't establish the run, I think it'll be a really tough one. I don't think we can go into a shootout with them. I don't think we can have really quick 2-minute drives, giving the ball back to them. I think they're going to win that every single time. Drew Brees is just better. But if we can establish the run, give our defense a good shot, I think we can win. So what's the one thing we have to do to win the game?
So I think our offense is going to score. I think that our defense is maybe the question mark, and specifically we have to put pressure on Drew Brees. Our linebackers are a little banged up with Anthony Barr. The defensive backfield is a lot banged up. Our defensive line is healthy. We just got Everson Griffin back. We need to put pressure on Drew Brees. I think if we can make him miserable, their whole offense grinds to a halt, and I have no doubt that we can put up 27, 24 points against their defense, and that should be enough to win. I'm with you. If it gets into the 40s, that's where it gets tough to keep up. So for me, it comes down to we have to put pressure on Drew Brees. Yeah. All right, man. Score prediction?
I'm going to go 38-30 Vikings.
Nice. I'm picking the Vikings here, and you could say we pick the Vikings every game, but I picked the Bills. So I've picked losses, but I really feel like this one we're going to win. I feel like we're going to beat them, say, 24-20. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think we're going to come out, and I think our defense is going to play well throughout. So
awesome.
All right, well, let's give him some Kirk Cousins music on the outro. So this is Kirk Cousins again, so for your listening pleasure. And we'll see you guys next week. Let's go Vikings.
Let's go Vikings.